Talk about the Melbourne Rebels, a loss for them against the New South Wales Waratahs on Friday night. Peter Fairbairn to talk us through that loss. Good afternoon, Pete.
G'day, BP. How are you, mate?
Very good, thank you. Interesting two-page spread in the Herald Sun today inside the Rebel camp. You always enjoy as someone that's on the outside just to get a little feeling of what takes place in the trenches. And really the story, Pete, is the Melbourne Rebels trying to sustain their effort across the whole 80 minutes, which they have really struggled to do. First half, extremely encouraging against the Waratahs, who'd also had a pretty lean 12 months in terms of wins, but, gee, it all unravelled pretty quickly in the second half.
Yeah, you're exactly right, BP. And just quickly, that is a fantastic article in the Herald Sun by Leo Schlink today. So if you haven't read it, go and find a copy and have a look. But, mate, I think it just came down to a lack of confidence, unfortunately, in the second half. The boys have certainly got the ability to get the points, but when they get the lead, we kind of saw it again last week against the Brumbies as well. When they go in at halftime with the lead, it's almost like they doubt themselves to be able to continue playing the same attacking brand of rugby in the second half, and they try to kind of shut up shop a little bit early. And really, we just saw a lack of confidence and a few kind of jitters there towards the end of the game, and weren't able to close out what would have been a fantastic result for the club.
Yeah, Gareth Delve not there, the captain. A lot then gets put on. James O'Connor wore the captain's armband on Friday night, and Kurtley Beale at shoulder wasn't 100%. But is it a case that the support crew or those around the Stars are maybe just not doing their part for long enough? Because we know what James O'Connor can do. We know what Kurtley Beale can do. These guys are match winners. But what about the rest of them and just playing their part?
No, look, I don't think it's a case of that. I mean, for the second week in a row, we saw the front row of Laurie Weeks, Nick Henderson and Jed Robinson really stand up again. And that's 2 weeks in a row that they've come up against basically a Wallaby front row. So, I mean, for a start, massive credit to them. And unfortunately, Jed took a knock on his knee and went off, and the Japanese hooker Shotahori came on in his place. But so I don't think it's a case of just one or two doing the work of everybody. I think Scott Higginbotham was fantastic, switching to number 8 with Gareth Delve obviously out injured. I thought Rory Sidey and Mitch Inman stepped up in the centres and played one of probably for both of them, their best game of the season. So there are a lot of guys contributing. I think it comes down to confidence, and I think it comes down to the players really needing to believe in themselves, that they have the ability to grind out these wins and that they do deserve to pick up the points on their travels.
I suppose if we're looking at the big picture of it, Pete, not just in isolation Friday night, one from the outside would look at it and say the Melbourne Rebels seem to be getting better. I mean, maybe in previous seasons that might have been a heavier loss to New South Wales on their home ground. So maybe, taking that positive that they were right in the game for a fair chunk of it and, just not been able to sort of go the journey for the whole 80 minutes but getting closer.
Yeah, certainly. And look, I think as well, kind of, maybe not last year, but certainly in the first season, a result like that and a bonus point away to the Waratahs would have been seen as a pretty admirable result. And I think it's a sign of the growth of the club and the changing expectations, how shattered the boys are. They really thought that both before the game, at halftime, and then after the game, that they were capable of winning that match. And they're, while they're happy to pick up a bonus point on their travels, they're certainly seeing that as points lost. So there's a lot of growth in the club. The club is certainly got its strongest playing list, I think, that it's ever had. And results will come. We are seeing dramatic improvement. We just need to see it across the full 80 minutes. Last season, it was a case of being really slow starters and therefore finding it difficult to get back into games. And unfortunately, this season, it seems to be the other way around, that they've done whatever they needed to do to get the boys up at the start. And just for the second week in a row, unfortunately, leading at half-time and fading away in the second half. But plenty to like. We just need to see more consistency. We need to see an 80-minute effort. And then I think it is still an exciting time for the Rebels.
Peter Fairbairn wrapping up the Melbourne Rebels. Lost to the Waratahs on Friday night, 1-2 from the first 3 games after beating the Western Force at home here. Rick in St Kilda on our text here, Pete. I'm new to rugby with 4 teams from Australia. Well, it's actually 5, 4. What is the split? Is it 5-5-5? Australia, South Africa, New Zealand? Yeah, I thought so. How is the home and away season fixtured? Playing South Africa away sounds like the road trip from hell.
Yeah, it's not easy. So basically the way the Super Rugby competition is fixtured, now that we do have a 15-team competition, we saw last year the introduction of the conference system. So you've got your 3 conferences from Australia, New Zealand and South Africa. Every team in their own conference plays both home and away against everyone else in that conference. So every Australian team plays each other twice, home and away. Then you play 4 of the teams in each of the other 2 conferences, 2 away and 2 at home. So you'll play 2 games in New Zealand. For example, the Rebels will play 2 games in New Zealand, 2 games in South Africa. They will host 2 New Zealand teams here in Melbourne and 2 South African teams here in Melbourne. And every year you'll miss out on playing against one team in each of the other 2 conferences. So road trip coming up to South Africa pretty soon. We've got the Queensland Reds that's coming Friday night at home, and what's really a clash of epic proportions now. It's a must-win game for the boys before they head over to South Africa, and haven't been able to win over in South Africa yet. So pretty important that we have a win on Friday night against the Reds and head over to South Africa with a fair bit of confidence.
Squad-wise for that game, as you say, very important before we head to South Africa. It'd be great to be 2-2 before a tough road trip. Gareth Delve, will he be back? Curtly Beale with the shoulder. What sort of health are we going to be in for the next game?
Yeah, certainly. Look, Gareth's a likely starter. He was always looking at just the 1 week out, and it's more a case of it's early in the season. Let's control his injury now and let's monitor it and give him the week off. So all things going to plan, Gareth will be back. Curtly, I thought, got through the game fantastically, and look, you could see him wince when he scored the try right at the end of the game beside the post. You can see him wince in a little bit of pain, but as I said to you last week, with Curtly's shoulder, that's an ongoing injury as opposed to something new. It's something that he's had for a little while, and it's just a case of the medical staff monitoring it and managing it correctly. So at this stage, he should be fine to play. Jed Robinson did injure his knee, as I mentioned earlier, but early indications are that hopefully he will be okay for this week as well. So in theory, pretty close to a full-strength squad. Just 3 backs out at the moment. Cooper Booner, of course, the Wallabies winger, and I saw Cooper running laps on Monday, and he looks fit and ready to go, and he's, he doesn't have a cast on that shoulder or anything like that, or a sling, I should say. So Cooper's probably 2 or 3 weeks away. He'd love to make the tour to South Africa, and then also Jason Woodward and Kamami Satautai out injured at the moment, but pretty close to a full squad and a clean bill of health there. So no excuse not to be able to pick up a second win of the season at home to the Reds on Friday night.
Yeah, should be a beauty at Amy Park. Thanks, Peter. We'll keep in touch, and hopefully we can square it up and be certainly competitive heading to that road trip.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. We're going to see you down there at Amy Park, BP?
Well, I'm getting closer. I'll tell you what, I was going was it last Friday? And 5 people pulled out on me. And I thought, oh, look, do I go on my own? No, I think I'll stay.
Mate, it's a fantastic atmosphere.
Yeah,
it'd be great to see a big crowd down there this Friday night. Probably slightly disappointing numbers so far, but the atmosphere is unrivaled, in my opinion, with any sporting code in Melbourne. I just think it's superb. So it'd be great to see yourself and plenty of SEN listeners coming down.
I'll tell you what, Peter, wouldn't mind Leo Schlink's just going on the inner sanctum. Can we organise that, Pete?
That wouldn't be bad, would it? The inner experience of Leo, mate. I'm sure Damien Hill would probably think otherwise, but I think it'd be great to get as many people as possible.
I'm happy to sit in the corner and say absolutely nothing. Thanks, Pete. Talk soon.
Good on you, mate.